And do you think we will have some sort of Sudanology, if I may say, as strong as Egyptology in the near future?
Sudan is in the middle of a crossway from the north to the east and west. And it is an opportunity historically to show the importance of the country. Actually, I try to understand better this central Sudan, still unknown archaeologically. There is very few work done. It will be the duty of your son, of your people, to do the work in central Sudan. And in central Sudan, I'm sure that there are huge complex states to understand, like I am doing in Kerma.
And by your presence, in your very presence, Monsieur Charles Bonney, you have enlightened us this evening. Truly, you have changed the global understanding of Egypt and Nubia in the ancient world once and for all. Ladies and gentlemen, all participants, you may ask questions if you have.
Yeah, I have noticed that in one of the pictures where you showed the status, that all of them are having their foot, the left foot is in front of the right foot. So is there explanation for that? And also I have a request, if we may get your contact regarding the usage of these pictures in artworks or in kind of media. That's it, and thank you.
Excuse me, for the leg of the statues, it is a symbolic position, because if you look carefully, you will see that the foot are destroying prisoners down. That means there is an arc, and they are destroying the people, the enemies. It is this position. And you saw that there is also in the end of each statue a round little piece. It is a piece of papyrus with the decision of the nomination of the pharaoh. This is my answer. And this, your second question, I didn't understood.
It was actually a request to get in contact with you, if we can get your email, for example, or any other way of communication.
Well, actually, we try to prepare our next season work. It will be complicated because, as you know, we didn't have been in Kerma last year. And I want to reorganize completely, and naturally we have many people asking us to, for the contact, if you want to have a presentation of the remain, I am completely ready, you can come when you want. During the next winter, that's mean from the 25th of November till the beginning of February.
Yes, I'm far in the east. Now it is 3 a.m., but I have been waiting eagerly to listen to Professor Bonney, whom I have been in touch with in the year 1997. I visited with some friends that area where he was working, and he, one of his colleagues told us about the exhibition that they had in London, and he said it happened that the Egyptian ambassador and the Sudanese ambassador were there in the exhibition when they announced that the Sudanese pyramids were the original, not the Egyptian pyramids. And the Egyptian ambassador was not happy to hear that, but the Sudanese ambassador said, look, brother, things start small, then grow bigger. I'm really happy to be with you here today, but my much concern is about the theological viewpoint. Many people now in Sudan claim that Abraham is Sudanese, Adam is Sudanese, Eve is Sudanese, could be Musa, Sudanese, Jesus, and this is extremely related with the archaeology. And since you talk about the future, it is our mission. It is an international or global mission to find out that. It will be a great honor for us. Thank you so much, and happy to see you again after 24 years. Thank you, Professor Bonneh.
Thank you. Well, I explain you that there is a very old war between Egypt and Nubia. But I think that scientific work is maybe to go a little further and to help the people today not begin another war against Egypt. I know that many Sudanese are not so happy with Egypt, and they are thinking that there is a complex. When I came 55 years ago, people told me, you are mad to work here, there is nothing. You have to go in Egypt. Everything is there. Here, there is nothing. And when I did the first conference in Cairo at the academy, the president told me, well, I am so happy to hear about our little sister of the Sudan. And I told him, well, pay attention, professor. This little sister is going up and she's very well. And I think that the main thing is to do history, to do a scientific work and to prove what we found. It is what I do that from so many years. I try to prove to my colleague Egyptologists that we are not in a war. Egypt is not better than the other. Sudan is not better. We are to understand the history of man. And it is so extraordinary to have this friendship in Sudan, in all the specialists of the history. And I want to follow this way. And I can tell you that one day Sudan will have a history like Egypt. In my country, in my little country in Geneva, I did also archaeology. And well, I am not thinking that these Geneva remains are better than everywhere in Egypt or in the world. I think that we have to think to men, to try to understand men. And the man in Sudan is so marvelous. I can tell you after so many years that you have to preserve this man and his history. For the pyramid, excuse me, I can tell you that the pyramid of Egypt are older and they are completely different. They are connected with the beginning of Dukigel. Cheops, for example, it is the same period. I show you temples of this period. You have remains of this period, but there is no pyramid. There is round temple. They don't have round temple in Cairo. And in Meroe, the pyramids appear later. And you have Meroitic pyramid, Napatan pyramid, that means from 700 before Christ till 300 after, we have pyramids in Sudan. And the shape of this pyramid are completely different than the shape of the pyramid of Egypt. And they are very interesting and very beautiful.
And here one might say that maybe there's a vast sort of body of literature written about that the civilization started in the south and then moved to the north. And maybe one of the pioneering figure was Sheikh Anta Diop, the Senegalese. But here, I think, with Professor Charles Bonneh, it's different, because that was sort of speculating, and it was were hypotheses anyway, and forceful sort of arguments. But still, what Professor Bonneh has done is something more of a scientific value and appraisal. If somebody else got some questions, they might proceed, please.
Hello, I just have got a question. I just want to ask Charles. Regarding the obviously you have done a great really work in the ground, and this work is really become so apart from part of the Sudan history, but it's an international thing. I just wanted to know how much of this work is being incorporated now into the academic sort of like teachings in the Sudanese schools, Sudanese faculty of archaeology, and whether it's become like a sort of separate sort of like a Sudanology versus the Egyptology, which has been taught in the past, and the Sudan archaeology and the ancient history was a part of Egyptology. Now I think this enormous work has to be part of a Sudanology, which should be taught in the university, faculty of archaeology, and for all people who are really working academically in the field of archaeology.
Well, it is my job. The problem is to prove this new way of the history of the Sudan before to speak about Sudanology. I think that in all the universities of the world, you have institute, you have specialists of Egypt, but in Sudan, there are very few the specialists, and we must be modest. And we need time to go step by step and to show to the public the richness of your past. For the moment, all must be proved in Sudan. We need other Kerma side. We need other Dukigal side. Because archaeology is working by comparison. I think that there is a problem.
Somebody, I think should mute their microphone.
Can I ask a question?
You can, the controller can mute everybody. Could you do that, please?
Professor Charles, for this marvelous talk. And I want to ask if there is any relationship between these rounded temples in Karma or in Nubian with Anka civilization in this Brazil or this South America, because I came across that there is also unique round shapes. Also, maybe there is any relationship. This is first question. And the other question, looking forward for your book, I think if I'm not wrong, Black Pharaohs or something like that. And for 5 years, I couldn't find. So if you can also tell.
It's a good opportunity to tell people that, the Black Kingdom of the Nile is on Amazon. You can buy it. There are so many. There are highly collectible editions. There are cheaper one, hardcover, and I believe there are also paperback. So if you go to Amazon and you put the Black Kingdom of the Nile, I assure you can find it now, and you might buy it online wherever you are in the world.
Hello, good evening.
To answer about the Inca, we must say that the Inca are coming 3,000 years later, and the connection are not done. And the problem is that we don't have connection between South America and Africa. It is much later, the connection are done much later. No, the round structure are connected with Central Africa, surely, and it is a new architecture, and we have to understand this new architecture. It needs time, and maybe it is with result like that, that step by step we will build in the academic world the interest for Sudanese remains. I am doing books and books each year. Just 2 weeks ago, we finished a book on the 25th dynasty and Napatan and Meroitic period to in Dukigel. And this book are naturally our main effort to show to the people of the world the importance of the past of the Sudan. And actually, if the Louvre choose to do one of its main exhibition about Nubia, it is also because we did an enormous effort scientifically in this publication.
South America is like a court here, if I may. Bonneh, after university, you drifted to South America, but ended up setting your sights on Egypt. You were interested in Egypt, but more in Africa. When did you realize that it was wrong to seek Sudan in Egypt, and it was necessary to seek Sudan in Sudan?
Hello. Hi, Mr. Mohammed Suleiman. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, please go ahead.
Right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. My question is to Professor Charles Bonneh. I have been tracing down since the last 25th year ago the archaeological assumptions that the pyramids were known in Nubia first and then moved northward to Egypt. It was started by what is called in the archaeological cycles as the mastaba. It wasn't known as pyramids first. It was known as something like mastaba, and then it goes northward. I have very much interested interview one day with Dietrich Veldum. That was away in the mid of the 1980s. And I have imposed this question, whether or not the pyramids architecture styles were known in Nubia and moved northward or not. Still until now, I have unquenched thirst to know the ethnicity of the pyramid architecture styles, whether it was started in Nubia, different civilizations, or it was started in Egypt. Could you please elaborate on this?
Well, it is a problem of chronology. If you have pyramid at 2,500 years before Christ in Cairo, we have to see pyramids of 2,500 years in Sudan. And we don't have pyramids so old. The oldest pyramid known are of the New Kingdom, came by during the New Kingdom, that's mean 1,500. And it is only small pyramid in mud break. But in stone, we have pyramid during the 25th dynasty and a little later, but the main number of pyramid are the Napatan Meroitic period. It is nothing to do with Egypt. We know the shape of the grave because the pyramid are used for the graves. They are marking graves. And we know that the grave during the oldest period in Sudan, from prehistorical time, was done by tumulus. That's mean with stone round in shape. And it is nothing to do with the pyramid. I think that the idea of the pyramid coming from the south is wrong.
And I believe, ladies and gentlemen,
right.
that you know, this is a sort of, as we said, vast sort of literary body, not only by Sheikh Anthony, but by others, that the pyramids and civilization started in the south and then moved to the north. These are premises to be proved. The area in which Professor Bonnet is working is more rigorous and scientific. It's archaeology, it's science. So he cannot say something like that. There is this yearning and nostalgia to believe that, but still all these are sort of premises and arguments, but on solid scientific archaeological ground, not yet been proved. But what proved is what he done, that there are some sort of civilization and temples and theology. They are able went far to say that even the Greek philosophy itself, the origin of Greek philosophy.
Sorry, Dr. Muhammad. Would you please, just to help in organizing, you talk more than even the speaker himself. Would you just limit your
please go ahead with some questions or any comments?
Yeah. This is by the way a major comment. My question is to Dr. Bonnye about his efforts, how fairly it encouraged other archaeologists to come to Sudan to participate in exploration of its history.
Well, I am doing thousands and thousands lectures like I am doing tonight, and I am 88 years old. That means that I am doing a great effort to promote your history. And if I tell something, it is to help to a new team of work, working in Europe, but working mainly in Sudan, because I think that the history of Sudan must be done by Sudanese. Each year, I am doing lecture in Khartoum, in the University of Khartoum or Bahrain and other one. And it's a pleasure for me to show the importance of the patrimony.
Excuse me, Prof. I have one more question, if possible.
Yes.
Right. My question is that I need an explanation from Professor Charles Bonnye to this thing, which is quite notable if you analyze the architectural styles of the pyramids in Nubia and compare it to those ones in Egypt. Right. First of all, one would be very much astonished by the number of the pyramids in Sudan, which goes more than 200 plus, 284 or so thereabout. And the other thing is that the architecture style differs a lot, tremendously, from those one in Egypt. We have the steppy pyramid, we have the round bottom shaped pyramid, we have one with monochapel over in chapel, one with duetto over in chapel. How this can be explainable, Prof?
Because in Egypt, the pyramids are built long period.
You can turn the audio on.
From the old kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, but later very few are built, and step by step they disappear of the architecture. It is the contrary in Sudan. At the beginning, there are very few pyramids during the New Kingdom, and there are more and more. And during the Greco-Roman period, that means during the Napatan Meroitic period, there is a lot of pyramids, because it is maybe the policy of Taharqa. Taharqa was clever enough to show that to follow the war between Sudan and Egypt was the end of all this territory. And for him, he tried to push the Sudanese to be more Egyptian, more influenced by Egypt, and to push the Egyptian to be more interested by Sudanese past. And it is very extraordinary to see how clever was this Taharqa man. And for example, you have an Egyptalization of the country for a time during Taharqa, and Taharqa is a Nubian, is defending Nubia because he was thinking to clear. And for the pyramid problem, it is the same. I will add something important. During the last period, during my life, civilization, all the remains of the Nile Valley pass through text, through hieroglyphs. Actually, archaeology did an enormous effort, and it is today a scientific way to understand the past. And this is new. And this is maybe why a long time ago, only the text, only the hieroglyphic type was important, and the archaeology was secondary. And you have to understand that we have to prepare for the future of the Sudan. Good Sudanese archaeologists, partly in Europe, partly in America, partly in Africa, and this is the future of the Sudan.
طيب الحضارة أنا بتساعد باللغة العربية. بنفس الاختلاف بين الحضارة في دارفور في دارفور هنالك عديد من جبال جبل أوري. وجدنا في جبل أوري عدد 3 مقابر. يا ريت محمد سليمان ترجمة جبل أوري. وفي شمال دارفور وجدنا مقابر راسية ومقابر سعودية.
They found some sort of graveyards in northern Darfur.
في جبل أوري.
جبل أوري mountain. Are you familiar with that?
في مدينة كتم.
Near Kutum or west.
I think that Kutum is another Kema. And it is
وجدنا عديد من المقابر وأيضا في أودوغولي الرابط الفرع مع وادي هور.
And Howard Valley.
وادي هور فيه هنالك منحوتات ومقابر دفن وفيه هنالك رسومات ومنحوتات. أنا ممكن أعرض جبل أوري. ده صورة لجبل أوري.
Yes.
He's saying this is a picture.
I'm sure you are right. I am sure of that. But you have to add Kordofan because the territory is enormous. And in Kordofan also, we can find traces of the history of Central Sudan. You know, for example, our Italian friends work in Kassala, and they found many things there. But it is to interpret it. It is still to do. I am working from 55 years ago, the Italian only 10 years.
Hello, I have another question. Is that possible, Mr. Mohammed Suleiman?
Yes, please go ahead. Please do.
Right, thank you very much. Following what you have said, Charles, regarding the Egyptolization processes that Taharqa was very much indulged in, to what extent we can consider Taharqa as an exemplary model of contrast with Sparta, who in his account was trying to Nubiatize, if you allow me the expression, the theological aspect of life in Nubia by moving from Ammon worshipping to Zebumeka. So could we consider Sparta as an exemplary model of contrast to Taharqa in this regard? Is that possible?
Well, the position of Taharqa is completely different of the position of Aspelta. Aspelta was a very good military chief of war, but Taharqa was on both sides, cultivated of the Egyptian side and on the Nubian side. And when you see the text connected with the life of Taharqa, it is very impressive how it is attached to Nubia. For example, he asked his mother to return from Nubia to him in the Delta. He was living in the Delta in war with Babylonian, and he asked his mother to come, and he explains that she did an enormous trip from Sudan to Egypt. And I think that this is a way to show the interest of Taharqa. If Taharqa is asking good builder to go to Tabo, to Sanam, to Kawa, to do new temples, it is because he wants to help this region, to show the different model of temple and to be more universal. And I think that Taharqa was a very great man. Aspelta also, but he's mainly a military man.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
Yeah, may I ask?
Yeah, please do.
Yes, there is, you know, about the Egyptian dam and the water that goes to cover a lot of facts. Do you think it might be the key for many questions? And as you said, you're still doing your research in the Central Sudan, but many people think it might be the key for many of the hidden facts. What is there? What is there under the water? What is we really don't know what have this water covered.
Well, it is difficult. I didn't understand you completely, but
I mean, in the upper Sudan, there is a wide distance that is covered by water, and they say it's they have these artists under the water, like a lot of this Nubian history is covered by water, so it might be the key for.
Well, you think about the dam?
Yes, I guess.
Yes, the dam has covered wild field. Can someone, if someone understand me, because maybe I couldn't know how to put the question correctly.
No, he understood you, I guess. Yeah, he's talking about Sadd al-Ali, Professor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the dam.
أنا بقصد يعني في آثار كثيرة كانت تحت الموية. يعني قالوا عن إنه في آثار كثيرة تحت الموية وفي مناطق شفناها مغطى يعني we never know what is under there because we cannot dig, right? So if this water drained, you think
covered by the high dam, dam, which is built by Egypt.
Yeah.
Well, I participate to the salvage of the high dam of Aswan, and we found many things, but archaeology needs time. This is the problem. Scientific archaeology needs a lot of time, and if we go too quickly, it will be a disaster. And for example, all the fortresses and all the big buildings under the dam of Aswan are now destroyed. And people did plan very quick documentation, but it is not enough to understand the history and the chronology of the different buildings. This is one of the problems. If you say about Egypt and Sudan, as I didn't understand you very well, I can tell you that in Egypt, from 200 years or 300 years, there are archaeologists, there are historians working from a long time ago, And we have data of these different buildings. And for the salvage of the dam, it was possible to use this data to save partly the patrimony. In Sudan, everything is new, as I told you. The pyramid also are not very well known. And it's need a lot of time, it's need a lot of work to understand each period. I did my little part in Kerma, but it is only a part of the Sudan. Sudan is enormous. And I'm sure that there are many Kerma in other parts of the Sudan, but I cannot do everything. With my colleague, we did a lot, but it is not enough. And I think that during next generation, I told, and young people have to think to that, there is possibilities to find the richness of the patrimony of the Sudan.
More questions?
Well, I have a question, please.
Yes, please go ahead.
My question okay, thank you, Prof. Charles.
Yes.
For this presentation. My question is regarding what the obstacles that you faced during your time that, in Sudan, I mean, the people that cooperate with you, the government and this kind of stuff. And then what is your advice for us as a new generation or the young people? What the work that we're supposed to do to discover and to find our civilization and to show it to the world, instead of that back and forth with Egypt problem and Egypt stuff. We also have civilization and we need to show it to the world. So what is your advice for us to show this to the world? And thank you very much.
Well, thank you. You know, you are lucky in Sudan because the people of the Sudan is marvelous. Very clever, very interesting, and it is a big change with other countries I know. And I think that you have the opportunity in Sudan to prepare people to work seriously in this case, in what I think Central Sudan. And I hope that you will not have the problem of salvage by dams, because I hope that this dam will not be so many during the next years. We spoke about 12 new dams around Kerma. I think it is too much, and it's a great pity for the past. But to return to the people, to the young people, naturally it is the university who must prepare these people to work on the field. And as I told you, archaeology changed completely during the last generation. And actually there is people explaining all the possibility opened by archaeology. And in Nilade, for example, I was doing lectures. They had many possibilities to prepare serious people to work on the field.
May I ask you questions?
Yes, please go ahead. Please do.
Yeah. Good evening to all of you. Regarding that, we hear in the social media that there is something is coming up that they said that the King Solomon has been the temple in the north of Sudan, but we are not sure that is exactly it is a true or something is a fake. Until now, no one came to us in the media and to that's all to explain what is going on actually, because we have already heard this several times and none of the government or any other those who are related to these things, they do not come up and they show us that this is the real or this is the fake. And we until now we do not have any idea it is true or a fake.
What is exactly the discovery?
They discovered that the temple of King Solomon has been in the north. They have been found in the century 17.
No, it is not serious. King Solomon did have been so many times in Sudan. because we don't have traces of that. Till today, we don't know anything about King Solomon in Sudan, any serious thing. Maybe it was, but it is unknown. You know, archaeology and scientific work is going step by step. It's a long way. It is not the discovery of Zaya was in Egypt. It is something completely different.
Actually, this is what we heard from the social media, and they said already.
The media, you know, lie from time to time.
Hello, Mr. Mohammed.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Mohammed.
Yes.
Good evening, and thank you very much again, Professor Bonneh, Al-Fatih Al-Malik here. Thank you for accepting our invitation and for this wonderful presentation tonight. I heard you before shedding light on the links between Eastern Sudan as well as the western part of Sudan to Kerma. And I think you had some archaeological evidence of that. Can you talk about this a bit?
Well, it is today too quick to answer you, because in the desert, we have very few elements to understand the latest period. For the prehistory, I can say that there is connection, but it is a very small part of the east part of the Sudan and the west part. Everything is to do in Sudan. Everything is to rethink with the new archaeology, with a serious scientific work. And what we found in Kerma is a good example, but it is not enough. We know that, for example, in the city of Dukigel, I told you that we work on the surface. That means 50 centimeters. But the city is going down till 5 or 4 meters deep. That means each level of the city are unknown. That means also in Dukigel and Kerma, we don't know anything. And also that shows us a new time that you need a good group of new people in Sudan, of new scholars working on the past and doing a good archaeological work.
Hello, أستطيع أن أتكلم؟
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Mohammed.
Hello.
Yes.
Is it
Hello.
possible
Hello,
to have
everybody.
a question?
There's Anwar, I think, asking.
Is it possible to ask
Anwar,
just a quick
Anwar,
question?
can you proceed with your question, please, Anwar?
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, my question is to Professor Charles Bonneh. Apart from the conspiracy theory, what are the major constraints for not having yet deciphered the Merwatic alphabet? I mean, there's a lot to be said in respect to maybe finger of suspicions might point at disguising intentionally the disappearance of the Merwatic alphabet. But apart of that conspiracies, what are the major constraints in your point of view that not enable yet the archaeologists to decipher all the Merwatic alphabet?
Well, you know that Claude Rie is actually working on this alphabet, and he has a good idea about the alphabet of the Meroitic period. The problem is to understand the words. Actually, we have maybe a third of the word known for the Meroitic language. That's mean a lot of time. It is the same that archaeology. To do serious work, you need a long time. And there is no serious studies of the Meroitic language before 20 years or 30 years ago. That means we need time and time and time and time. The English, the British did a lot of work on this study, but they didn't agree. They didn't fill the gap. That means that all this kind of work need time, and you are at the beginning on the list for the next generation, because in Sudan, we have very important data and things are going on with very good scholars.
More
Hello.
questions? Yes,
نعم أنا
go ahead, please.
نعم, if it's possible, I would like to speak by Arabic, please. المتكلم من إقليم كردستان العراق, كلية القانون جامعة السليمانية. اسمي أنور أبو بكر الجاب. أقول أحر التحيات وأطيب الأمنيات إلى هذا الجمع الكريم الذين يحيون التراث الإنساني العريق ويقرون بأرومة الشعوب وحضارتهم. ويبدو أن السودان كانت عروسة الحضارة الأفريقية وتوأم الحضارة الإغريقية. وسؤالي للبروفيسور شارلس بونيه, بما أن السودان بهذه الأصالة والعراقة التاريخية, فلماذا لم يذكر الكتب المقدسة من القرآن والتوراة أو الكتب الإبراهيمية اسم السودان بالذكر؟ وكذلك الأمر بالنسبة إلى علماء اليونانيين, لم يسموا السودان بالاسم بينما ذكروا مصر وأثيوبيا وغيرهما. شكرا.
Thank you.
I need your help, Mohammed.
Yes. He's saying that if Sudan, as people are claiming or saying, is of so important, why it hasn't been mentioned in Quran and the scriptures, Bibles and Torah, etc. He's an Iraqi guy from Sulemania.
Well, the Quran, the Bible are very important to understand the past, but it is later. I spoke you about 2000 and a half before Christ. All my studies in Kerma are connected before Christ. That means that the Bible and the Quran are not helping me. It's a pity, because in the Bible we know very important data connected with archaeology, and in the Quran also. And with all the history of Muhammad, we have many data for Saudi Arabia, for example. But to understand before the Christ, it is completely different. We need other data, and there is no language, no writing during the Kerma period. I am not sure that it is not possible to find in central Sudan to find traces of writings, but till now we have only the Meroitic, and the Meroitic is very late. It's 300 before Christ till 300 after Christ.
Excuse me, Mr. Mohammed.
Yes.
Can I just add a note here, please?
Let's do.
Right, Mr. Charles,
Yes.
Regarding the question imposed by the previous speaker in connection to why, if it is that important, Nubia and Kush and Merwatic civilizations, why we haven't any traces of mentioning those civilizations in the old texts of religions. And if I understood you right, you said that there is no mention to this, but according to my knowledge, there is a very strong mentioning of Kush by its name in the Old Testament.
Yes,
that is in the Torah. Okay, not only this, but also when you find a mentioning of Ethiopia, Abyssinia,
yes.
there is a great difference between Ethiopia of today and the Greek name Ethiopia, which means the people with dark skins. And they were naming then by this attribution all the countries of today, which is started, you know, from northern and eastern African belt. In the heart of this is Sudan of today.
Yes.
But the Ethiopia of today wasn't referred to in the old text of the Bible, Old Testament, as Ethiopia. They were referred to it as Abyssinia, which is in Arabic colloquial is Al-Habasha. All right, this is just, I wanted to add quickly that Kush is mentioned, and it is mentioned in the Torah, in the Old Testament.
I agree, but Kush is mentioned with Taharqa, and Taharqa is mentioned 3 times. We know that, but it is mentioned after the life of Taharqa. It was historian who did that. And for the problem of Ethiopia, it is the same. The texts, very well known, are late. We have only 500 before Christ text of Sabaean, but we don't have any text of the beginning of the history. Remember that my title tonight is The Origin of the History of the Sudan. That means it is the beginning when the people are organizing themselves to prepare to build new complex state. And this is much older. And this is to understand the beginning of the history of the Sudan. I think that the historians agree that the history is in Middle East, in Egypt, in Greece, but they don't agree that the history begin with the black people. I challenge that.
But there is a notion here that, I mean, if you follow the history of mankind on the planet of Earth, and you dig much more archaeologically deeper within this historical things, that I have been, for instance, in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, that was away in 2006, right? And they were discovering then the fossil Lucy, which date back 9 million years ago. And I have read in so many archaeological cycles researches that the history of the mankind on the planet of Earth were started with black-skinned people.
But pay attention, don't mix everything. The beginning of man is something, but it is not the beginning of history. The man was living like monkeys and, well, just at the beginning. And there is no organizing state. This is the big difference with history. The history is the beginning of organized state, like the Kingdom of Kerma, like the Egyptian Empire. But if you find, for example, in Kerma, we found also pieces of animals belonging to 1 million years old with artifacts done by men. we know that 1 million years ago, man was in Kerma and Dukigel. But it is not the beginning of the history. It is a part of the evolution of man. And this is very important for this, or general speak, because if we are speaking about Egyptology, it is not for the man of 1 million years ago, but it is the man of 2,500 years till 2000 after Christ. You understood?
Yeah, I did, but you may be referring here to what is known as
Charles, you've been asking a lot of questions.
He asked me a question, and I want to reply back if you don't mind. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I was referring to the Homo sapiens and the Australopithecus, Africalopithecus. I totally agree with you that the history, as we know it, started with the period that the chronological periods that we were talking about, and that the evolution of man history goes much more deeper than 2,000 or 4,000 or 5,000. Thank you very much for enlightening me on this.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Good evening. First of all, thank you, Mr. Bonneh, for your presentation. My name is Eve. I'm from the Western Sahel, so from what people call Western Sudan as well, Mali, Senegal, and Mauritania. And we call our architecture Sudanese architecture. And I was wondering, you can see one of our ethnic group, the Soninke, they claim they came from Aswan. So I was wondering if there is a connection, indeed, like a continuity between culture of the Sudan and countries of the Western Sahel.
Well, I am mostly interested in this. Actually, I'm working on all the remains in Africa to have an idea about the beginning of the history. And in Mali and Senegal, I am sure that there is older cultures, but still unknown. It is for that I am so passionate. You know, in Senegal and Mali, you have an idea about Middle Age past, but nothing in architecture during the last part of the last 2 centuries. We are speaking about 2,500 years before Christ. And there is a big difference between the date of the culture known in Mali and Senegal. I am mostly interested to understand better the link between Darfur and Atlantic, but still today we don't have this link. And I am working with the highest specialist of Central Africa, and I have connection actually with the Collège de France. And well, Kerma is still a unicum. And this is not prehistory, and this is not the beginning of the man, but it is the beginning of the history. And this is the point. I think that Sudan is a very important place for this origin of the organization of a cultural history in Central Africa. And this will be the future of the studies in Central Africa. Central Sudan till the Mali. I think that the Mali have very old history too.
Thank you for your answer. Do you actually have literature reference for the connection between, as you said, the Darfur and the Atlantic coast?
Well, there is big scholars working on this problem because, as somebody told, there is some text about the Muslim merchant in Central Africa during the 12th century. And we have an idea about the organization of Central Africa during this period with this Islamization and with many texts. In Ethiopia also we have this text, but it is later. And I try with late examples to understand better this link, but till today I didn't result.
Any more questions, please? Just to close.
Yes, hello, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yes.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Is about the relationship, if there is a relationship between Nubian and South America. So that some names have meaning in our Nubian language. For example, Argentine, Arig, and as you know, as I know that Prof. Charlie Bonneh, you know our Nubian language maybe best than me. My question is, what's the meaning of, for example, Argentine, Arig tea, which mean Arig, you know, Arig meat, and tea, the cow. For example, also the name of Nimar, Ni, drink, and Mar, the area. For example, if any village you visit any village in Nubian area, the beginning of the village name, for example, Koyim Mar, that means the beginning, as you know. Also something like this. This is my question. If there is a relation between South America and Sudan?
No, I am very sorry, but it is really impossible. Well, there is connection during the two last 1,000 years, but, and maybe your example are connected with later period connection, but the connection at the beginning, that's mean during the beginning of the story, there is no connection with South America, and it is completely disconnected. But people like you maybe have been in Buenos Aires, and they can exchange with the language and speak with the people, and maybe some words can stay there, maybe from 2000, from 100 years ago or 500 years ago. This is possible, but from the beginning, with the link of the language itself, it is impossible. Because South America is occupied by a man from 20,000 years ago. Sudan is occupied with 2 million, 3 million years ago.
Last question.
Can I have a question, please?
I have question, please. I have a question.
Okay, please do. Go ahead, please.
Me or her?
Hello, go ahead, please.
Yeah,
hello?
Hello. I'll start. My name is Hafiz. I'm speaking from the UK. Actually, I just have two questions. Thank you for the great presentation. My first question, I visit Jabal al-Barkar area, and I heard that there's a tunnel between al-Barkar and Dungula city. It's been built for 1,000 years, and nobody had discovered that one. I heard that from the local people. The second one, in 1980s, Malkouri, when she was the Minister of Tourism in Greek, she put a database for every piece of history to be traced from all over the world and to be called back. As Sudanese, we know we have 1,000 of these all around the world, and some of them go into the auction. How we can record that data and write it in our museum and call back for it. Thank you.
Well, for the tunnel, I heard about also in many places, also in Europe, in my country, in my village, people are telling there is a tunnel going from there to there, but it is not existing. It is always dreaming, and people are dreaming about tunnel. I don't know why, but they are interested to have this enormous tunnel. You know, from Barkal to Dongola, it's a long way, and to do a tunnel like that will let traces, and archaeologists will see these traces surely. For Melina Mercouri options, you know, during his period, everybody was thinking that the beginning of the organization sophisticated of a state was in Greece. But today we know that there is example older in Middle East, for example, in Mesopotamia, south of Turkey also, we have many examples. That means that, well, the idea of 50 or 60 years ago are completely finished today because we have possibility with technical evolution for a more scientific result in our field. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Ahmed,
to
think
close,
that people want to go to sleep.
I have one more question, sorry.
Yes, one more.
Excuse me.
Last question, please.
Okay, okay. My question is, my question is about Adam, the father of mankind. Adam actually in Sudanese, in Nubian language, it means Adam in Dongola or Nubian, exactly in I don't know, in Nubian language, exactly in Dongola, it said Adam. And you said that the first man in the world is found in Sudan. Is he Adam?
Well,
do you have any?
I think that this can be connected with the dam because we know many dams of the Kerma period. That means from the beginning of the organization of Kerma cultures, they are doing dams. Or it is the name of Adam you are thinking. You know, all these examples are maybe recent because people are changing and speaking from thousand and thousand years. That means that this exchange is perfectly going on. Adam can be an example. Well, I have to thank you for your interest, everybody. And you know that I will try to follow my work during the next years, if it is possible, because I'm a very old man today. And I am naturally ready to help everybody who is interested in the past of the Sudan. You are my friends. I am so proud after so many years to be in your country, and I hope to follow my work. Thank you very much for everything, for the gift of the Sudan.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor. And we
أنا
repeat
بس الإجابة عفواً عن آدم لو سمحت.
again that you are a monument of sort of aging intellect. To close, I would salute the Sudan archaeological project that gets, as I said earlier, 135 million Qatari riyals boost. Money will support 29 projects, including the rehabilitation of ancient relics, construction of museums and study of the Merwatic language on behalf of Sudan, which is our birthplace and to which we owe our lives and our identity. I do thank you very much indeed, Professor Charles Bonney. In some respect, on vous dire que tu es vraiment le fils du Soudan. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, the participants, for enriching this speech and evening with and by and through your questions and comments. Thank you very much and have a very good evening and goodbye.
Thank you very much, Mohammed.
Right.